So that was the subject of mine, which is what if Jacques Leroux stopped working for the Ofbiz project?
I think that jokes apart could be a problem.
It is half a joke.
I know.
It's half a joke because Jacques is one of the most active contributors of the project, applying a lot of security patches from security issues, patching a lot of things, committing a lot of things in the project.
And also respond to the user mail.
Yeah, as well. So doing a lot of things on the project, and it is an open question that what would happen if he stopped.
The first, I think we send a big thanks to Jacques for all the work.
A big thanks to.
Yes. It's just ransom what he did. So, and after, what we want, if we want to continue on the project, we can contribute, but it's more comfortable at this time because Jack did many things. And after, we need to take the lead.
Would the community be able to absorb the workload that Jack is currently having? It is an actual concern of mine.
I think it's the next generation to take the relay to do its work. We have the pleasure of seeing him answering to a lot of people, accepting a lot of email subscription and doing all this stuff. It's easy for us to look at him doing it, and it's to us to take the relay and continue that. But it would be nice to have a relay pass to, like Nicolas did for the demo, for example. Nicolas take the place to take the demo and do something.
But it's not enough.
It's not enough, but it's one example. For the release, you did it also. Security. There are one German. I don't remember his name. Christian? No, Christian. Don't remember. Who did subscribe and do a lot of work also. So.
If people can help Jacques at any time.
No. Thing is, people need to have to be able to manage to get the time to help.
Exactly.
Jacques.
Exactly.
The main thing is that Jacques is retired right now. So it has free time. So probably we should not try to find another Jacques.
No.
But his work should be divided by and taken by the whole community. Otherwise, it would be impossible to absorb all his work. Because it did and managed a lot of things in a lot of different fields. So mailing lists, security issues, commits, bugs. And so, yeah, it's an hard work for only a people, especially if it's not retired, and it has another work to do. even if it's on all of this project, it's not easy anyway to handle all the Jacques work. So probably the community should be more aware also of what happens if Jacques leaves. Probably this should be reported to the community, because maybe we give the Jacques work as consolidated as a routine. So is there is Jacques,
Yeah.
okay. So
Completely.
probably we have, maybe Jacques will continue for 20 years and we are all happy for 20 years. Or maybe tomorrow morning Jacques will say, okay, I do not want to do this anymore. So
I won't take more
and
time.
this
I won't take more free time.
we
with
don't
result.
know. It's life. So
Exactly.
all the community should be aware of his role. Then maybe can be I don't know. Jacques can be nice to more people, less nice to other people. Can there for sure have been some discussion in the past between Jacques and other committers, but I think it's quite normal. But it's clear all the work he is doing for the Ofbiz project. It is what we are talking about, not only for the community but for the Ofbiz project. So I think that all the community should be aware that Jacques is doing a lot of work for them.
I hear the main point you are making is we should enlighten the community to put some light on what Jack is doing, what the work he's putting on the project, and thank him for that, and put some light on the idea that he might want to stop someday. Acknowledge the work and okay.
And also, if some people help him to do the job like this, if he wants to take the free time, he can also.
So you're suggesting pair work, something like that?
We can start at any time in the community. Yeah. We don't want to wait that some people leave. Or some
Or
people
maybe
say to stay.
only, maybe, for example, I can ask Jacques, okay, Jacques, can I help you with something? Can you explain me, for example, how do you manage unregistered users that writes into the mailing list? So sometimes I can look in for you and maybe do it for you. So a bit of work start spreading. Maybe for me is for the handling of the user. For Gilles can be some more answering to the mailing list questions, something like that, and so that the work can start to pass hand by hand. And
We also have one idea here to make his work easier. I guess first we need to ask him what takes most of his time, like what are the biggest tasks that he has, and then maybe we can find some way to make it easier or shorter, or to automate it. Like, maybe we can automate it, or in case he responds to a lot of messages, if we could improve the documentation, then maybe there won't be so many messages anymore, because people understand the code and don't need to ask questions. It would make his work easier.
And surely it's already documented somewhere. We don't know. So,
for example, another task that I see from Jacques is sometimes respond to the infra team. He take the responsibility to ask also infrastructure team, so it has also contact outside the Ofbiz community for the other Apache Ofbiz infrastructure teams to try to solve an Apache Ofbiz problem. And if he does not like that, who does it?
Sometime me, sometime Deepak also. But we need have in mind all what Jack do. If we can take time to understand, we can do also.
Yeah, because you do a
And,
lot of things.
In the past, I already did to Jack on security. Please let me some time. I want to analyze before you respond.
Yeah,
Because
sometimes it's too fast to respond to that.
because if we don't inform Jack that you want also work, he go fast and it's fine. But sometimes it's frustrating to help him and take also a few later.
And I think it's very important when Slack was introduced, the Ofbiz, the official Ofbiz Slack was introduced, there was some activity, and I exchanged a few words with him. And he said, do not hesitate to send an email just to say yes, there is no problem, just write, make some activity, make some noise, you are here, you can participate, your voice counts. And I don't know why it's sometimes hard to write the email, to make some noise and say, okay, I agree with that. A lot of time we can just say, I agree with the idea, or I need time, or something, and make activity to the mailing list. And I guess there is not a lot of activity on the mailing list. And why is that?
I think that the main problem or the main thing here is that everyone is probably very busy with his own work. So they can also, if it's yes, I agree with you or not, I have time to think. But you have time to read all the discussion, and that can take time. And maybe at the end of a work day, you think, oh, I have all this time to read. Okay, I'll try to read tomorrow. Tomorrow is the same thing. So tomorrow.
Yes.
So this is. If you were all retired, the problem probably should have done. But
Yes.
I think that there's some couple of years also yet to work.
The 30-hour day. Do that.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe the solution is that every company should retain a couple of hours a week to do community work.
We try.
Yeah,
We try really
yes.
hard.
It's really hard. We also tried, but
Try.
when you have customer that calls you,
Try to
that is business.
We try to keep Friday afternoon
Yeah.
for this. It's supposed to be community time. That's on paper.
Yes, that's on paper. It's not always easy to maintain. But you know,
And I think events like this one we are doing together, we help gather motivation
yeah.
to find time to. So if we participate every year or something like that, it will help us to be involved more easily into the community.
I think so.
We should try to really motivate Jacques to come next year. You tried. I know.
Or we can say, okay, Jacques, we
need you for next one.
Well, we need you. We have already planned, and it's at your own. you cannot not participate.
We try.
And then you respond, I'm on holiday. Okay.
I mean, we do it.
I'm on holiday.
Where to?
Okay, these are good leads for me.
So, okay, point number 2.
Yes.
Which community? User community or dev community first? Dev.
I would think dev community first because user community is much wider. User won't necessarily know who Jacques is. All the devs know. I've seen his name. I don't know. It's just.
Or
Or
because
the
the
PNC.
private,
Yeah.
not PNC, or
Private
or not private.
My thought would have been on dev mailing list, basically.
it's about organization of the projects, animation, etc. Bringing the subject into private could be a first step before going to them,
I think.
to have the opinions of others.
Private.
Et celle où tu n'es pas dessus parce que tu n'es pas.
You can offer opinions you want to
Well, this question is kind of strange because it's very personal to Jack, the point of view on it. To have the fact that he's doing a whole part of the job that is to be done and put the light on him. And while we are asking that, we are thinking that if he left, there is a bit so it's project management. No?
For me, it's not a problem when people stop to work, because each here can stop at every time. It's just some people want to take the relay. So for me, we don't have to ask this, we just to act. And
But just to inform that there will be a future problem, this could be a future issue, but just because a lot of issues and tasks are handled by a few people. If you don't want to address directly Jacques Leroux, you can say, more general, saying, okay, people, I think that for the near future there could be this problem, because right now in the community, a lot of tasks, handling tasks, committing, etc., are performed by few people, and the problem is what happens if those people stop working. What happens to the Ofbiz community? And just to make also aware
That would have
the other dev, the other PMC, that this problem could be near, and could be near.
the way you said it would have been the way I would have presented it in an email.
Sorry.
The way you said it right now would have been exactly the way I would have written it in.
Probably without addressing directly Jacques, could be personal. Maybe keep it quite general and addressing that there could be this kind of problem. It's more general, can be, I think that can be discussed better than addressing, oh, there is only Jacques. Because consider that if maybe someone in the community has had some problem personally with Jacques, can be kind of not so convinced or happy to discuss about this, because you can say something like, oh, it's some problem, you can do less, for example. But if you keep it general, I think that can be for a wide audience, and no one is personally addressed. So we are talking about the future problem, so not about the person. This is my idea.
Yeah, the result of that will be make the inventory of the actions and the documentation behind each actions.
I think it's already present.
Yes,
I'm sure.
yes, but where?
It's hidden somewhere, or
I'm not sure, because when I want to help Jacopo to release the version, all the documentation are present. Just we don't use it because you don't need to release Ofbiz. Nobody reads it or quickly because you don't use it. So I think we need just to take the time to check if some task realized by Jacques or someone have the documentation. I think in some time. After, I have a different vision of the problem, because
if a problem is present, we try to solve it. If we can't solve it, it's not a problem. Because, okay, the work is not done, but what's involved of this? And if it's really a problem, and I detect it's a problem for the future, I will act and move to solve. So it's the reason that Jacques is quite comfortable for many people because maybe he hides many problems because he's efficient. Finally, if we look on it, what he do, maybe there's no problem, and he's easily to up to date.
Yes, the problem is not what the task that Jacques is doing. That the problem is not problem because I have to contact infra. Okay, if you tell me how to do it, I contact infra. But is that he do all that things. So
just
when
for me, let
so-
me these things.
So if he left tomorrow morning, the community have to kick in and what was Jacques doing? He was committing this, he was fixing that security issue. So you do that, so it will be a sign of confusion.
No, but I agree. We can start already to ask him to
So it's just to have prevention.
and to inform when he do a task that you want to help him. Just let me on the dev that you want to do, and I try to with you or something like that.
Okay. Is someone feeling confident to carry this email? Or not?
Listening to what Nicolas said, do we need to write an email? It's a question after that.
We do not need.
Yeah.
So we act. And that's sometimes Jacques acts faster than us.
And I will ask slow
To slow
down, please.
So people have the time to read the problem. So probably is that the issue?
The time.
Yeah, you are too fast. Slow down. So people can help you. Help yourself and slow down.
Okay.
Okay. Next, I don't know who put this. What's the future of Ofbiz? What next? Ding.
First topic, relaunch. Keep it monolithic or start thinking about a totally new approach. Like, for example, domain-driven approach and through the microservices approach.
What is the goal of all this? First of all,
You have 4 hours.
Eh?
You have 4 hours.
Mm.
What is the goal of this?
I think that the main goal of this is to be a complete enterprise resource planning, so ERP. And I think that the monolithic approach 20 years ago was a good choice. But right now, for the reason that we talked about this morning, can be very difficult to approach for new buy, for new devs. And because I think that probably is not more the correct approach for project right now, because they are all with this kind of it's all in cloud microservices. So maybe the monolithic approach is going always even more less common, don't know, and also because maybe I want to use probably make, let's say for example I want to use only the order manager model. I have to use the old tables. So if we should think also if for this kind of question if we have to rethink the main goal of Ofbiz in order to, if you want to keep like a complete ERP functionality, you keep it all. If you want to, for example, say, okay, I give you the possibility to download and use only the order model because you need only that. Then in the future, if you want to add the accounting model, okay, you download the plugin, let's say, that connects to the already existing order model, and they working together, working by piece. I don't know. It's a totally different approach, so you have to rewrite it from scratch because you have to uncouple all the models. You have to keep out the integrated Tomcat because you need the ability to run it on whatever.
You have to think about the data model separation.
Yeah, you think the data model separation, foreign key separation.
Yeah,
I have some problem with that.
that's what I was thinking the whole time. Data model separation will be tricky.
I don't think why do you need to separate the data model?
Because that's what Giulio said. If you don't need the 800 tables, they are still here. You cannot, as it is now, you cannot use only the, let's say, the content or data resource
By itself.
by itself. If you want to use some part of this data model, you take the whole data model.
Yeah, but if you don't use it, the tables are empty, so it's not that big of a size.
We tried to do that on the Ofbiz fork before.
Multiple
And,
times.
Yeah. And you be sure, and that I'm completely sure is not a good way. Because imagine if you have not a global solution, I said to management, and you have many parts when you move a plugin, or you need to analyze all dependents if there are no regression. So finally you need to build old to be sure there are no regression, so you win few instead of a lot of work. I'm more. We already told about this on the Chicken with Jacopo and some other, and their approach is have the most data model possible, and after load the logical by plugin. Only one, so you want, but keep safe and slim down Ofbiz on all business logic. Keep only the functional logic.
Okay, but what about the component that are loaded during startup, not plugins? For example, the accounting model
Yeah.
or the model that are components that are always loaded, so you have always everything.
My vision on it, instead remove it, is more set it present, but we can enable or disable something.
And what about move everything as a plugin, not as a fixed component? So you don't, when the startup is made,
Yes.
it does not load anything, and you put, let's say, everything into the plugin directory.
Typically, fixed asset component contains the fixed asset entities is already on the Ofbiz standard. It's not out of the plugin. And the fixed asset component contains the business logic to use fixed asset as depreciation and so on. So for me, it's a good example. You have the entities, you can keep connected, and you have an extrapolation of this used oriented on the business logic.
So basically, you override the web app already existing to your needs.
Yes. And it's better for me to explain how do this correctly. So you have all the entity, you have all the basic services, CRUD and something functional. And now, if you want to create a verticalization, customization, you can do that like this.
Can I also say something in this regard? Because I did a lot of research when I was looking to migrate my old ERP system. And has anybody else looked at the Moki framework?
Moki framework?
Moki.
Yeah. We already checked it.
In there, the architecture is that the Moki framework has the entity layer and the service layers in there. And then the data model is a separate plugin, and the service layer is a separate plugin. So if you don't want to use the data model, you don't use it. Or if you don't want to use the services, you just get a stripped framework. And then if you want to use them, you add them as plugins. So then basically, if you want to start with a full ERP, you add the data model and the services. And if you want to start from scratch, you can do that.
An evolution that we tried is separate application from framework.
Yeah.
Possibility to download, like Moki, only the framework with the entities.
Yeah.
At this time is not possible because there is some dependencies between both. And if we need to do that, we need to break the dependencies and find another way to do the job.
What dependencies?
I already do the job a long time ago. I think it's on user and party. There are also some entities, some services that send email, for example, who depends of the different documents in Ofbiz, like order or invoice.
You use it anymore?
Because sometimes it's old code and don't grow with the framework. So. And what is funny is Moki is created by David Jones, who created also Ofbiz, but after to fix some errors that he did in Ofbiz. So they want to move Ofbiz on Moki. You can find discussion on the mailing list, but personally I'm not agree with that because it's too easier to take the framework outside of the Apache community without this same right and create a dependencies of Ofbiz from Moki. So if it's a good solution, we need to break and fix this dependency on the framework and the application, and yeah, you can do that. But
the question may be far from the subject, but the question I have in mind is why choose Apache Ofbiz if you don't want to use service layer and entity layer? Why do you not start from
Spring Boot directly?
All the things like that.
Well, personally, I want to use them. But he was talking about using the content separately, for example.
Yes, but to only do content management alone, I think there are better solutions than Apache Ofbiz. But to do content management with other ERP system management integrated, Apache Ofbiz could be a better solution because the way we work to make money, like as a company using Apache Ofbiz, is to find a company to fit their needs, a little needs they have, because we are not big enough like SAP, etc. So we try to find an open door into the company, fill their first need, and after that build trust and show them that Apache Ofbiz can do a lot for them because it's well done, well thought, data model is great, service okay, you can do a lot of good things with it, and after that you can take this part of their management system and put it into Ofbiz, then another one, etc., etc. So for me, this product, Apache Ofbiz, is for integrator to build, like you tell at the beginning, big solution for ERP, enterprise resource planning. So cutting down into pieces to not use the basics of ERP. I need to have the arguments. I don't say it's easy or not, but like Eugene proposal to cut down into pieces extra. Like I say, I start to being an old guy for the whole time. I do not get the point yet.
Yeah, I actually agree. We shouldn't cut it down into pieces. But I'm not talking vertical pieces. I'm talking horizontal pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have the framework, you have the entity layer, service layer, and then you have on top of that, you have your personalization, like you have your I don't know, clothing plugin, have your coffee shop plugin, and then each layer depends on the next one. So you have the full solution, and it's easy to personalize because you have just a little plugin which does a very specific thing in there.
And if the discussion is about that, I tend to go with Nicola ideas. And the problem I got today is if I don't want to use accounting and payment when I'm using order, there are a lot of CK who are triggering when I'm doing my orders that I don't want. And the only way to cut it down is to modify the code.
But if you don't set up the data, does it still do something? You don't set up the accounting.
The orders, yes. Because for example, when you complete the order, one example, out of the box the invoice is auto-generated and that creates accounting transaction.
You need to create an accounting party, no?
So,
You need to create an accounting party first.
yes, but if you do not do, and for example, if you do not set the correct costs, the the complete of the order will fail. And I know that for sure, because once, one of the first time we set up the accounting company with no accounting data set up, but the wrong, for us, COGS method. When you go to ship the order, the process fails because you did not set up something on the accounting for the correct COGS calculation. So it's very tight, each module. I don't know, maybe in the trunk version there is a switch in the accounting company, the setup that switch off the accounting registration, but I'm not sure. It was not there before version 18. And maybe that kind of switch that disable basically the accounting model. Maybe disable everything, also the shakas, but I don't think so because shakas are in the code. So.
Yeah, I guess there should be a proper introduction, right, to set up the accounting properly so it works.
And there is not.
I guess if you don't need to use it, there should be a configuration there. So you won't need it.
Yes, but right now I think that is not completely be disabled. I think. I did not check what happens if the accounting flag is set to no in the general setup, but otherwise some accounting work is done when the inventory is moved, when the order is moved, some transactions are written. Anyway, also if you don't use it. So the accounting module is used by the order module, by the facility module, because also when you move inventory, you track an accounting transaction for COGS calculation, for sure. And also even if you do not use actively the module, Ofbiz use it. So there is this kind of interdependency between each modules that is hard probably to to disable, but because there are seekers on entities, on services, and maybe if we manage to start to separate each module and try to do everything with a configuration for each module. Maybe it can be more usable, more a clear separation. So if you, for example, switch off the accounting module, for example, setting up in a property file, use accounting, no. Everything on the accounting side is not used. Seca are disabled, transaction are disabled, everything. But right now I think is not possible.
Also, on the component, so this component, disable the components that will lead to every SECA in the component will not launch themselves. It might be a solution if the things are well sorted into the good components. So the link between order, facility accounting is in accounting because why not? But it's not a very complicated thing because when you are using it in production, you see all the secas. What are those? Oh, okay, I go search the seca, I comment it there, etc. It's not very clean.
Yeah, that could be an approach that brings us to use the same defaults. And to use the default that is basically the most general case. Like, for example, to configure the orders so that by default it doesn't use the accounting if it's not set up properly.
If we do that, I think that we should be clear each module dependencies and dependency, and when that dependency is used in the system, because order also have dependency with facility for inventory, party for the user, we say accounting for the issuing of inventory items and the invoicing. So we have to enlighten and track down each dependency between modules in order to start thinking how to disassemble these dependencies or make them configurable.
You cannot fully separate because you need a party for invoices, for example. You cannot create invoices without a party.
Yes, maybe there are some dependencies that should remain because they are necessary. Some other can be removed, like maybe account, because I don't want to use it, or because maybe I have an external accounting system, or it's too difficult to configure the accounting and know exactly what it does. So there is this kind of analysis work before start thinking of what to keep as a good dependency and what make configurable. It's not an easy work, I think.
No.
And if, let's say that we manage to do that analysis, we have to integrate the XML SECA definition in order to read that from the configuration that specific module is not used, so I do not need that specific SECA or ECA or whatever. To automatically disable the service, the ECA, the SECA, based on the configuration of that module, and not required to go into each file and comment one by one the SECA reading the output of the console. And the other question after is what happens when I re-enable the the module that has been disabled. But it's a future question for now. It's not important.
And I don't remember, but there was 10 or 12 years ago a lot of disentanglement. I don't really remember the word on the main list, talking about spaghetti dependencies, circular dependencies.
I read about it.
Yeah, this was I think it was the Jira of Eugene where he tries to
Was you changing?
I think so.
Yeah, but
module.
the same discussion happens 10 years before or more. And with a tire, and I don't remember exactly that way. I'm quickly looking into, but
I think the main difficulty is that now the project is huge.
yeah,
So
and
Is used, but we slimmed down already.
okay.
It's more huge before.
Yeah.
And the future for me in Ofbiz is not so the dependencies because we have some problem with that, but we can manage it easily. But it's all code that we have.
Okay.
Because if the code is clean, it's more easier to move.
Oh,
If the code is bad, it's really hard. When I switch some groovies and I detect some dependencies on plugins that I can detect, only unload Ofbiz completely and go to the screen that use because the code is really strange. This is really hard to help Ofbiz to grow. So we have many tasks to clean Ofbiz, like the mini lang, to move to Groovy. It's more easier, more simple, more easier to debug. And I think we have also all the services, big services that we can refactoring to help the dependencies after. Just look shopping cart.
oh, quite huge. And for example, for refactoring, I was thinking about services. Okay, now we have Milan, Groovy, Java. Do you think that we should use only one language, or we can just keep Groovy or Java for writing services? I'm thinking about the standard that we were talking about this morning. There should be also a standard for the service implementation language.
So which language would you choose?
No, I like both, so it depends on the context. Maybe one times if I have a service, a wrapper service that has to prepare data for other calls, I do it in Groovy. And the main big services, I write them in Java. It depends. So I use both.
in my opinion, you are low layer close to the framework in Java. If you are Groovy, it's because Groovy is very quickly, you can write. There is a lot of sugar syntax with Groovy, and you can go very quickly and very readability.
And it's not so boilerplate also.
Yeah. So the more I can use Groovy, the more I will, but I cannot code Groovy use dependency to the Java because of compilation order. So there is a technical difference.
You can dependency
Not compiling Groovy.
in Groovy for Java, but you cannot the other way. You cannot Java depending on Groovy.
To be honest, when we can develop in Groovy, we do. When we need to develop in Java, it's boring.
But you can call a Groovy service from Java service.
If you use the dispatcher with the right syntax, yes, you can. But you cannot call a Groovy method from a Java method.
Groovy class.
Yeah. But you can do the opposite. You can call a Java method into a Groovy method. Because of the compilation.
So if you want to refactor, I don't know, let's just say a service, would it be easier to refactor the existing code or just rewrite it from scratch?
For a customer project,
For the refactoring, you said that we had old code in there.
first we refactor the code only if we need it. So if we refactor the codes, we have a customer project on it. So first we did what we need for the project, and when it works, we reanalyzed to refactoring from Ofbiz. So and when we
again for Ofbiz.
no, because first we try to respond to the problematic that we have, because it's a business indeed. But like we respond for the business, we take time to look forward after what we did and refactor again for the community.
So you cannot commit the code as it is, you need to modify it for Ofbiz again the second time.
So you commit on Ofbiz what you think is completely generic, and after we resynchronize the customer side. This is a better way that we found to have a good code quality.
The thing important in refactoring is to ensure that you have already integration and testing up to the service you are refactoring, that the test is okay before and after, and doing it with your execution.
Start with it.
Yeah.
Can we try to resume?
Yeah.
You can try.
So what is the future of Ofbiz?
So, what you can say to resume these ideas?
Probably it will remain monolithic because it's too complex and maybe out of the scope of all these original goals to be too modular.
Monolithic but flex.
Sorry?
Monolithic but flex.
Yeah. Monolithic.
Code as you touch it. But refactor it to what?
What's this? Clean codes.
Module entanglement.
Mm.
Module disentanglement. Okay. Yeah.
I like this one.
Module.
Disentanglement.
Disassemble. I don't know. This is like Avengers, but not. Disentanglement. I don't know with
Decoupling.
decoupling. Okay, it's easier.
The same.
And make them, I don't know, configurable. If you can try.
The thing we didn't talk about, and I think is important, the new technology or a new way to host Ofbiz Kubernetes, like we talked yesterday, configuration system. For me, we have to contribute something very good for that. I don't know if you agree, but
So, this opens new doors, I think.
I use Docker, so
Yeah.
and variable instead of configure.
This opens new doors, I think, because Docker probably, maybe it's my idea, were born to host little application, little services, microservices, okay. And we are putting on Docker this whole monolithic application.
These macro
We also did because we use Ofbiz in Docker. And
For me, I don't see Ofbiz like just an application. For me, Ofbiz, I see that like operating system
Okay.
for the management. So the microservice is present as in Ofbiz.
Okay. So
C'est
seen like that is like a layer of the Docker image.
and you Dockerize a system like when you have Kubernetes or something like that, you have the operating system on the operating system.
Yeah.
So for me, Ofbiz, you said I have an operating system for management the functional entities, so like that.
Okay. So
And
probably.
after, in Ofbiz, we need to have microservice dependencies.
So probably now we have to be sure that Office is well aware that is running inside a Docker container, a Docker pod, a Kubernetes pod. Otherwise, can grow.
Isn't a pod just a set of Docker containers? A pod isn't just a set of Docker containers.
I think with the proof of concept that I presented yesterday, we can support completely the Docker. Okay. Nice.
Just last topic for this.
Short one.
I launch it, then we can make it drop. Do you think that would be helpful? Speaking about docs, devs, users, whatever, have maybe a circle, a team inside the community that is, let's say, responsible to maintain the Confluence wiki, for example, the documentation. When a feature is, maybe a new feature is introduced or a new, I don't know, business logic is introduced, something like that. I think that because before COVID, there was an attempt to do something like this, created by Pranay, and I think that was something written on the dev mailing list, and we managed to do one meeting online. There were 10, 12 people about the documentation and also about the Ofbiz site presentation. So the official Ofbiz site to make it more marketing like, okay. But it was just before the COVID, so after that everything was dropped. But the intention was this, so have a group of people, volunteers obviously, that try to maintain, reorganize the documentation for the help of the project. Because as you say, when you search for documentation, you found it, but because maybe you know where to find it.
Yeah.
If I am an end user and I want to try to understand, I have to search in each page. Maybe there is a piece for that documentation here, another piece there, and I have to, and I don't know which one is the truth. So it's just
My
provocatory.
response, it's a patchy response. All contribution are welcome.
Yeah.
Because I have to work to do episode at this stage.
Are you aware of the presence of the help link within the demo with kind of lot of documentations already? If I come back like this, you go on the demo, okay, demonstrable of this, and you go there, you go on help, and you've got introduction, what is Apache Ofbiz, main part, MVC framework, entity, service, widgets, quite big.
Is the same that we can find in the conference page, or is that different?
Confirm, but I don't think so. I'm not sure.
I think this one is different, but this
Yeah.
one is hosted in GitHub.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's within the code. And I don't remember, but this one could be a place to store some kind of functional documentation also. But I don't know the states of the, because I don't think I never read it.
Yeah, then you have two places. You have this one in the GitHub repo and you have the documentation on the conference.
I think the problem in the conference is a bit behind, like update.
Yeah.
It's a bit behind of this.
And this one I don't know if it's behind or not.
I think this is the new version.
So, for example, one step would be in the conference documentation, just please refer to GitHub documentation.
I think this one is more because in here you just have some stuff and it references some conference pages in here for more details.
Indeed, to just have one place where to read the documentation. We need to choose if this is the place, okay, we maintain this documentation and abandon the conference one. Otherwise, they have to kept on the same level.
Yes. So it can be discussed with the circle you're talking about.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
why not? But we need to find. And Jack, I know, is motivated about documentation. He always said that it was his last contribution to the project is to have a nice documentation. So I think he will maybe participate with this kind of initiative.
And the top.
I have one forgot is standardization of this. But I don't at this time because the standard screen are really a nightmare.
That would be part for the standardization of this, the
Exactly.
general guidelines for writing.
Yeah.
I suggest it's a good transition.
To the coffee machine.
Yes. To switch to work, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, we stop here.
Yes, take a photo.
Already done.
Nice.
So, Okay, so I prepare a talk to speak about works we did since 10 years about standard screen. Is how to make a beautiful screen with Ofbiz, only with standard screen Ofbiz and not use another system. So in Ofbiz, I think we can be agreed that we have really a lot of screen. We have some huge screen to manage. So it's difficult to have a lot of technologies because, by the way, with the time, we start with the Ofbiz with the FTL. We have some screen in XML technologies. And also now we can do on the different JavaScript technologies like React, Web, Vue.js, and some other. The problem on the screen, in general, we have a lot of information to display. Because when you have an order or when you manage a facility, you have not just the name and the description and some gadget element. You have different information important to do your job or to have a good vision. So it's not easy to have to manage a standard screen with possibility of specific technology and have many information, so many cases on the screen to manage. And for the end user, if I take this off the screen, it's just not possible for them at the beginning because too information, and if we just check on the demo system, just like this research is pretty good because we have all information. And for us, it's not a problem, but when you discover Ofbiz, you don't understand if you are on the church screen or edit screen. And we have a lot of information and the order screen is a big example of huge information display. So I back to the futures, I back to the past. We tried on this problematic with Julien Nicolas. In Seville we do a presentation. I can pass quickly on it. Because it's 10 years ago, it's at Seville on the 2060. We did this presentation. So it's just fun to see what we present at this time and what we realized 10 years after. So the main objective of this presentation is explain what we want with the screen and what we have actually. Typically, this part, the purpose of Ofbiz need to push information, many information to the end user, and is important to know we have many information to display. We have not just a chart, not just a list like an Excel. We can have many information like an order, so we need to select how to do that to maintain easily. So a quick we pass quickly on the structures of Ofbiz with the controller, the request, the view, and different technology of screen, GSP, BERT, other, but mainly use screen in Ofbiz. So just remember, we can call screen, but we have the screen of your computer, but the screen in Ofbiz is a piece of display. So it's the reason that we say the screen is not screen, because a screen is a mini screen. So we can have on the screen some FTL, some form, but the whole screen created by XML is also connected to FTL. So the FTL technology is really important. And in Ofbiz we have some theming need to be override the display. Up. I don't know if I put that completely, it will be better. I go fast on this part because we already did before. You just remember. Up. So, example of a screen. We have a screen, we have different sections. Section is active or disable on condition. And we can put easily some information like this. And after we can create more complex screen that includes some screen like this. You have this party screen. We have different screen here included. And when you go ahead, you can add many elements at the decorator with menu and so on. The main objective to the screen is really easy to develop and maintain, but it's not really flexible. After we can use FreeMarker for more specific screen dedicate, but we can make different type of screen. But this is have a big problem with FTLs. You can imagine what you want. The problem is really hard to maintain, and you can reuse the code easily because when you develop some element in FTL, generally it's included for a specific case. After to manage a form, you have the XML form like this. You have few information. I go fast on it. It's managed by FreeMarker FTL. It's really easier to implement it, but is a few flexible. It's hard to improve it comparing to the FTL. And after we have the theming, last layer to display it. Some example of theming, but the theming in Ofbiz just change some JS and some CSS on the flow. You can also override some decorators, but it's really few in the past. That's the case. Sorry, What we suppose at this period that FreeMarker is really cool because you can do everywhere what you want, but really it's dangerous if you want to maintain on the long time and you have edge screen. It's not possible to use FreeMarker without a lot of time cost. so it's expensive to manage it. The best way to manage each volume of screen is by XML. But the problem with XML, we have a lot of different implementation in the framework. So at this time, we think about to move all the rendering system on the common theme to globalize how Ofbiz need to rendering the system. And we try to think about to have a generic screen. When you create some screen, you have the same during all the platform. This is help the developer to, when you create a screen, you don't need to know what color I put, how if I have a column, two column. This is a global thing about the application. This is need to be on the theming. And if you don't do that, if the developer need to select each time how he need to rendering the screen, you see on Ofbiz we have different case of rendering, and this is not good for the end user. So the proposition for this is to push the structure screen logic on the theme, to push the developer to just think about what he did and not what it's rendering. Like this, in the past we think about you need to create a fine screen, you need to create a load file, you need some association and so on. Oriented on what you do generally and not on the specific case, to have not have each time a different screen. That is the previous meet that we did with Julien. I come back here. No, sorry. So after this presentation, after this meeting with Julien, we worked and the Nero team, we worked to how to create dynamic screen with the previous rules that you see. Think about how manage it by the theming, and how to force the developers to use a purpose of the screen and not each time define a screen for the case that he meet. On the same time, I don't know the contributors that talk about the compound in Ofbiz. Adrian Crum helped to create only one file to define request, screen, forms, and menus. Compound system. The compound is easily, you just announce a compound, you load all the namespace, and after you can put on the same files, request, you can put your screen, your forms, and your menu. Like this, you can read all in one time. You don't fragment all your code in different files. And the first approach is not really good because you can reuse a screen. It's hard to organize, but if you look slowly some case, you see that when you have a screen, generally used on only one situation. So for the custom sites is pretty good. For the generic tools, is not really good, but sometimes you want to use directly the find user typically. If a find user exists, in general you can call it and you have the screen. And if it's campaign, it's difficult to call the content screen. And on the other way, a old colleague implement the REST URL in the controller. So compound plus REST URL give me some ideas to improve this on the management screen. So I mixed all them, the compound logic, the REST URL writing, and the logical to have only one screen, general screen to manage some screen, detailed screen, embedded screen, on the purpose logic, and put it and push a lot on the timing. Hop. A concrete example. Concrete example is for a project that represent you have here, this screen is only on XML screen. The most of the logical timing is pushed on the dedicated time, and all is dynamic. And all the form and screen defined here have no information for the timing. So I think, escape the joint presentation. How it works. Hop. Sorry. Hop. How it works, I will present the logical of Dion that we implement in Nereid. This logical implement all we talk about, all is in the screen need to be reusable, and all what we don't need to push to the timing. For that, just remember I said that we need to know what we did currently. We create some application to manage, and that it's important because JS framework give a lot of possibilities, and when you analyze what we want really, we need few elements for the dynamicity on the management screen. So on the logic for the dynamic, we implement few elements that help the framework to manage many information that we don't have to know. The first, each screen can be update a child or can be update himself. When I make a search, when I validate my search, the search update a screen in the place that contained by the screen itself. When a list will be update by sorting, she directly updates himself. She don't update another screen. That we allowed. A screen load it completely, a screen update himself, a screen update another. On GS screen, we have some possibility to update some area defined by the other way. This is a little complex to manage in screen of this, so we need to allow to focus on what we need really. What we don't authorize on the framework to be maintained easily, a screen can't update another screen that we don't know. You have a screen with many screens included like this, and you said, okay, if I update some information in screen A, update my screen B. The problem is if my screen B is not present, what I can do. So my screen A like this depends of my screen B, and maybe reverse also. So if A depends to B, they need to be on the same screen. And on the other, my screen of the list can update my search. It's not logical.
Because of reusability,
Yes.
the subscript can be used in several parts, so you cannot know on what screen make you appear on the page.
With logical, if I define a search, when I include the search on the big screen, I will explain after, automatically I can reuse this search on the other screen, or I can include on the small part, or I can include in the modal. All is independent, so it's easily to maintain and to use at many places. That I explain. The main idea for this is help the framework to detect some automatic area to update and remove all technical technology information that we don't need because we are focused to the business logic. For this, we developed the subdecorator concept. You have an Ofbiz, the main decorator that you create your structure of the page. And after you do what you want inside. The main decorator, generally, you can override it by the theming. But under the screen, it's not possible. So we propagate these ideas on subdecorators. We create subdecorators to organize the page by purpose. You have at this time 3 subdecorators that we push. The existing common search decorator, the detail decorator to have more information on an element, and the embedded decorator that use only to inject a screen directly. So, I go fast. The detail decorator defines different structures to be sure that when you develop a screen to display an information, you have this area available and for what to do. Like this, your framework has the information. You have the command in red, the main decorator in red. Your theming can create the decorator as you want. And in green, the subdecorator, the detail decorator, that contains different elements that your theming can organize as you want. But the developer is focused on what information I display on each part and know how I agency it. So like this, all detailed decorators are the same. And when you navigate in Ofbiz, all pages are structured like it. So you will not have a column and some information, or a header and some information, all have the same structure. The same for the embedded decorator is a notion to have the screen that can be injected. Because when you have a dynamic structures, you don't load all the decorator. You only load specific area. So you need each my area can be injected, can be loaded by an action. So each possibility need to be embedded, to be je vais y arriver, entouré, to be surrounded by the embedded decorator. Like this, Ofbiz said, okay, you want to surround it, you want to inject this part, I will inform the theming that I can load it only. Is like the common the detail decorator, we create a structure that helps the developer to put some information. Like this, each theming can implement the decorator as you want. I create a video as example, but I moved on. Second part, to help the slim down of the code. If we have a screen and you want to maintain it, you need to have the less information as possible. Less information, so you delegate to another the rendering. The main problem comes from the form. If you check a form like this, you have the name, you have the type, it's okay, where I can find the list, no problem. The pagination, okay, the request to update it. And after, the style, different style. So if you want the same rendering on each application, you need to put this information on all forms. This information is not related to the forms because it's not business logical, it's not functional logical, it's display logical. So I'm not entering by this. If I continue the detail, we can see also some information on event update area event. This is information say, okay, it's dynamic. When there is an action, update it. Okay. So first, I move up this directly. Like this. We implement the form heritage on Ofbiz. Now, when you declare a form, you can declare it as son of. We create, this is in trunk. We create, as example, the common dynamic list. And we said on the framework, on the theming, we put a new form on the theming, common dynamic list, and we said, okay, the dynamic list is rendering with this still here. And different event. I pass the screen like this. Each team can implement the form, and rendering as you want the form. It's the same for the event. The theming can say, okay, I manage the theme command dynamic with event sort column or event pagination. And after, when we finish to implement this, when we define the form, we just said, okay, it's find facility. My paginate system is on this request, and I extend command dynamic list. Here we put it on the command theme because it's old. Now we could put it directly on command. And command say, okay, what is my theming? Okay, my theming is here. So you can find this form on the place of the theming used. With that, each form I deployed, find facility or some other forms, the JS framework, we can it supported by the theming. Because I have no logic, logical technology. I have logical what I want to do, and offer the theming to implement it. Just a little hook to update automatically. You click on the short. You need to know where I am to update the area. To do that, we implement a screen task. What it works, each time you define a screen, you create a 3 string, a DOM, and when you have an embedded screen, it said, okay, I'm a possibility to auto-load me. And when you have an action to, I want to update, if you have no information, it said, okay, you want to update, I update me automatically. It's the reason that directly you have no information of the form because the form is linked to the screen, linked to the embedded screen. So when the screen say, okay, my form needs to be updated, okay, I update yourself directly. Okay, new element we need. We had a lot of elements to help the dynamicity. Another problem that we detect. You update a screen, you call an event, you respond, and after, depends the response, you try to update an area or something or another. When you call a request, you send a possibility, the response to a view, and the view gives you a screen, in general case. If you use a screen, I take the party screen, create person, typically. You use the standard create person. When you call create person, the request, they send you as a return the screen result to create a person. But if you want to implement it on another place, you need to redefine all to be sure to route it at a good point. We think differently. I said, okay, I clicked on the button to create a person, and I said I put a callback. So when I will create the person, when it's a success, I will do that. So it's the sender that call create person that prepare the response to what to do after. Example, I have on the screen E, I create an add button. This call the creation process directly with different screen. And after, when the last screen is okay, he returns, he said, okay, I finished. The callback takes the information and say, okay, when you are finished, I said, update. You update automatically the screen. Like this, imagine you have a church, you did a church, you create an add element, you validate the add element, automatically the search restart with the new element insert. An example, like edit product category rollup. So I create a button to edit as a layer model. So I will click open a model to update the relation. And I said, when I finish, call back, call me list product category chain rollup to update automatically the information with the party category ID present. So after we have an example of this, but I don't show the video. All this is if I come back here, you want, this is a detail screen typically, and the all screen are automatically updated by the area where is it. And if I have some postal address here, I want to add it anew. You said automatically I call the standard services, the callback detects is a success, and he updates automatically the area here. If I want to use this screen another place, it's also possible. Because all logical is isolated, so the callback don't need to know if the service have another operation. The service just say, okay, I finished, it's a success. Or it's an error. If it's an error, I have the error message appear and my screen don't move. It's also like here, if I expire this automatically, my screen refresh, and this is only on standard Ofbiz screen. What can I show you? If I come back on the previous presentation. So I can share you after some piece of code if you want to have more information, but all is present actually in at this time in Crank. We can do some screen like I show you. It already present on the invoicing screen. Leila, my colleague, push some example. We can show it. But to be really more efficient in Ofbiz, we need first slim down the forms. We implement different type of form like menu. We need to remove all CSS present on the forms and some technical information to have only the purpose of the form. Okay, it's a dynamic list, or it's a common single form. Like this, all form takes the theming information. The other way is we implement different sub-decorator. So in logical, if we have an homogenization of this screen, we need to move each screen on it. It's not a bit work, but it's some work to do. And if we want also a good homogenization, is try to remove the FTL as possible, because the FTL is used by the time on some place that the screen engine can manage. Or now we can manage really a lot of case with screen engine. We can on screen include a form, and in the form you can include a screen. So you can have a list of a screen and each screen can have information, and each screen can be embedded another screen, can be dynamically updated. So easily, if you think you have a good vision of your structures, you can have some area correctly managed by the screen engine without a big code, big technical code. And the last, at this time, all this works in Ofbiz. We have no regression, but you don't have the screen like I show you, like this. Because if you display it in Ofbiz with the theming, currently theming, it's not supported the sub-decorator team. So you have some displaying not structured. If we implement a good screen, a good theming, we have full functionality. So is more approachable. So the step is few.
How does this handle PDFs, for example?
I don't work with PDF at this time on this logical. This is only on HTML.
So for PDF it's still FOP.
Yes. It's still FOP, and what we saw, some JS to export directly. PDF. So the PDF depends what we want to with the documentation, with the document generated. This is all this works is how to create dynamic screen with it's hard to generate a screen because we have the technical information, the rendering information, the business logic information. So sometimes create a good screen is really expensive on time, on skill, and on what I really want. So we cut the problematic. Okay, the rendering is the theming. It's not when I create a screen, I don't need to know how is rendering. For the logical of big application. It's not the case of some application really specific, but on the general case, I need to think what I displaying and not how I rendering the display. And after the dynamicity, like I tried to explain, we have not a lot of dynamicity in Ofbiz. You don't need a lot of. We need a refresh after the update, after creation, after a delete. We need an update to short or to go to the next page. And after is a very specific case that we can manage on easy way. So for this typical of case, if we have a good best practice, it's really easy to manage it. I try to show you an example. Ça. Ouais, allez hop. Typically, this is a compound with dynamic screen to manage some children. So my compound file is present inside the different namespace that I have. And after, my compound defines all the requests used by my screen. So when I want to use my compound, a screen contained in this compound, I include my compound in the controller and all it works. Because there is no other dependency, it's only on this compound. You said here, enfant, you can see it's a REST URL. Enfant is children in French. So children the event, children the others, children other healthcare. So with this structure, I said, okay, I'm in the children case, and for the children, I want to see that, I want to see that. So this is displayed directly a screen, and I'm on a compound is displayed always a small screen, not with the main decorator. All the screens that all the requests that you see that call an event response JSON, like this. I call a services, it responds success or error by JSON, like this. My timing can use it with the technologies that I implement to be okay, it's a success or an error. Sometimes we also used a new element that we implement in the trunk, the return message, just to say, okay, I don't create a screen just to say there is an error and this is. So this helps to have general services, and like this I can search in some case some information. If I create a person, but I know my screen create not only a person, but create a type of person, I can say, okay, you create this type of person. And I can use the standard services. I don't use a new service to say, okay, is this type of person. I put this information directly. So you see the structure and always the JSON. After my compound implement all sub-decorator screen to be add the logical business logical. In this case, I have some information. Okay, if display, or failed, and after you display the real embedded screen like this. All screen on this compound use the same logic. So you have a general screen, typically screen to subscribe a child to the association. You have embedded decorator screen, so you said is injected directly on the small case. So I move directly. What is really interesting is the contact make. You saw the screen just before I add it and explain. If you check this, you have different information about the structures and how we resolve the contact make. You have an embedded screen, decorator section, different section, and they include screen each time. If I display the screen, you have a menu and a grid only. So the big screen that you see is a different subsection. I will check the menu. Where's the menu? Here. Yeah. See you, Florian.
I,
If you check the menu is already used an extension in Ofbiz. So in Ofbiz we have already this for the menu. Each menu in Ofbiz defined by another generic menu. So we use the same for the form. And you see the callback here. So the callback say, when I finish to add a contact make, okay, you need to call this dynamic screen, this dynamic area, and this dynamic request, because we set it as generic, so you can use to add a contact make for postal, telecom, email, is the same. You just use a variable when you call it. And the reason that after I add the callback raise and call directly the good screen to be updated. I have no information on exactly where, exactly, just, okay, it's here. I need to be update this screen by this request. It's only just that. I try to list developments better. And for a list, here you see my list have no information of the CSS, no information of the technology. I just said, okay, when I paginate call person rassemblement, donc it's all is on my compound, so it's globally. I extend command dynamic grid from command. So I said this form use the command grid system of the theming I used. And after, that's all. But this grid can sortable and can be paginate automatically. Because it's command grid, and if I check command grid, where is my dynamic screen?
The first one.
The first one. Right. Okay. My command dynamic grid contain the still and the event, dynamic event. So like this, all forms that implement this are managed by the tab. You have some question?
If there is time, I'm curious to see how the tag callback
Yeah.
is handled the refresh of a particular area. Is behind it a Java class that
How
behind
I
the
implement
tag, the
it?
XML, yeah, the XML tag callback.
I'm a laser, so I use what existing in Ofbiz. When we detect a callback and your definition, a callback said I want to update an area, and on the model screen model you have update area.
Oh, yeah.
So the callback is another way to say okay, update area.
Okay.
The difficulty that we have is okay, my callback need to keep my context. So my logic is I'm not in the specific JS framework. I don't know where I am. So I just said I have a callback. I need to return to a status. So to do that, we use a JWT token. When you create a callback, we initialize a JWT with different information that we have. Like this, when you say okay, finish, it takes the token, it check it's the token that we put it because we seen it, and after I say okay, I have this context, I run this, and it executes to retrieve the good information. So for the callback, the difficulty is that when we have tunneling, so we jump screen on screen on screen. We need at the beginning the token follow the jump, and when it's okay, execute the context.
Like a stack,
Yes,
something like that.
but we have only one token.
Okay.
Also, always with thinking about we are not a framework, a JS framework. We don't manage dynamic complex. We just know what we make easily. Making simple is not easy. So we accept to don't support what not all system dynamic system like React or Vue can do. But if you check with all this code, you have a complete application to manage. So it's a lot of code on the first view, but there are a huge screen behind.
I think the only downside of this that is still pieces are split in different files, like menus, screens. So if the screen is quite complex, let's say,
Yeah.
can be a bit difficult to keep in mind how is the screen, how is composed, where
Yeah.
a component is. So because it's quite split into five, just
Is the reason that with the compound and the dynamic screen, because it's completely different, we assemble on the only one file.
okay.
And the logical is if you call a screen here, you have all the information of the different screen. So if you have a screen and a child screen present, you need to be present also in the same file. Like this, you call it, I want to use this compound because I want this, I want to use some screen here.
dynamically you can use it on your component. So you create your plugin and you call the compound, and automatically you can manage some chart with that. And in the application, typically, at many time we need to add children, some children, we need to manage some subscription, but on the different way, on the different vision, it's the same screen, and they call differently. So after the creation, the reaction is not the same, because it's managed by the callback.
And last question.
Yeah.
Why to choose to develop, for example, an application all XML or maybe using free market that is, in my opinion, more readable? Why you need to choose one respect to the other?
Because I try to use the theming with the free marker.
Okay. Yeah.
Is I go fast and maybe I not be really clear because I have a lot of information, but is that we try to Sevilla, that we try to explain to Sevilla. Free marker is really good, but response on one case. On your case, we have many cases, and we have the theming system. And if you use free marker, you can use theming system because you need to implement only CSS class and put it on your free marker. So if you want display differently your fields, you can't because the HTML structure is completely present on the free marker.
So
With the theming, for this theming here, we create the same application for another association without change the code. Just the theming and all change.
Okay. Otherwise, you have to rewrite all the FTL to the new application.
Yes, and it's not maintainable. You have 10 screens, it's okay. Like this, we have 1,100 screens. I don't pass my time to change. So the logical is slim code as possible, push the technical and the rendering to the theming, and the form need to keep really only logical, business logical, and interaction with the controller. Is only that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Our presentation to finish.
we work with a product and a bill of material, and after we have the costing. That's an estimate cost. So work, raw material, and indirect cost. And other costs. And cost of goods sold, that can be with a different algorithm. So average cost, FIFO, LIFO, and custom. So this is for the accounting. This is also for accounting, but also for for accounting, from productivity and statistics and so on.
For
Analyzing costs.
I have a question in there on the estimate. You also put the indirect costs like the electricity and stuff like that on the product cost?
Yeah, Ofbiz manage out of the box the indirect cost and overhead cost based on electricity and so on, and you can base this on with an algorithm, specific algorithm, that maybe you take the work effort cost and apply the 50%, the 3%, and put as an indirect cost. But so, for example, out of the box, the estimate costing for product, the raw material is not linked between bill of material. So, for example, bill of material, I have the raw material 1, raw material 2, and 3. Okay. For estimate cost, there's no link between this and this. Okay. For example, if I have 3 components, there's not some direct link between the specific raw material 1 cost €1, the raw material 2 cost $3, and the raw material 3 cost I don't know. So this estimate is out of the box, totally manual. You have to go to the product page and put work effort, raw material, indirect. I want to know if somebody facing this problem, because it's quite common to want to know how is the estimated cost of my work and what is the real cost. But the real cost is after, and maybe it's too late. If the product is already done, it's too late. I have to try this estimate, and maybe there's more different type of the estimating. For example, if I make this product in China, I have some estimation. If I make product in France, I have some estimate cost. They usually are different from one supplier to the other supplier. You have different estimate, maybe version A, version B, version C. But the COGS is a real, this is only one. This is some kind of different simulation also.
Can you say again cost?
Cost of goods sold.
Cost. Okay, so the finished good price.
The finished goods cost.
Finished good cost. Okay.
Okay. Not price, because I sell with a specific price, but the cost. So is mandatory for every kind of accounting. I know that in Italy it is not mandatory COGS, we can work with a different way, and I don't know really in the other country, but it's quite common also for accounting control and for controller to use the COGS and for different kind of business the cost can be calculated in a different way. I know that average cost, FIFO, LIFO are managed out of the box by Ofbiz using the inventory item cost.
And you have to manually set the cost for it.
No, this is totally manual. This is my end. This is calculated. The costs are calculated.
Yeah, but it should be based on the raw material cost.
It's quite complex, but these features are implemented more or less, and all these algorithms are implemented in Ofbiz. This is not a real problem, because for FIFO, when you issue a component, when you issue an inventory item, the system, if you have selected FIFO, LIFO, so this kind of configuration is in the company configuration.
Accounting company. It's the
Company configuration. Okay. Company configuration. In the accounting company configuration, you can specify average cost, FIFO, LIFO, or so on. And when you issue an inventory item, the system automatically manages the average cost, FIFO, LIFO, based on the configuration. And you can change the configuration if the company is already created. If you create a company, you have to select one of these, and this cost you can't change, because all inventory items are stored with a specific cost, and you can't change in the middle. And do you want to manage the cost half in one way and half in another way? It's quite impossible. So these costs are managed so automatically also in double ledger accounting. Double ledger through the posting. No, it's not through the posting. It's not correct. It's not posting. So when you issue component, the system creates a double ledger specific for managed COGS, average accounting, and this is quite well managed. But this estimate is more or less a draft, in my opinion, because you have to put manually a lot of different item, work effort, raw material, but there's no link to the really bomb. There's no link to the COGS, okay? It's not a quick way to manage different versions. And I want to know if someone use this estimate cost in a more sophisticated way or a more fine-grained solution, or maybe with some algorithm based on bill of material or something like that. That's all.
But the accounting costs, where does that one get the price from? The cost?
Sure.
As you said, that the accounting automatically manages the FIFO, LIFO, costs. So where does it get the cost from?
The cost is from the inventory item. The inventory item is when you issue an inventory item, the inventory item cost is an attribute. So Giulio is an attribute.
It's a field of the inventory item.
It's a field.
When you receive the merchandise, the raw material.
For example, we set the last price from the supplier. If you set up the supplier and you buy the raw material from that supplier, the inventory item should take that price as unit cost?
You talk about standard cost. I forgot it, but is one of the. I don't know. Is the standard cost
It's called inventory item cost.
It's called inventory item cost, but is the standard cost. Item cost. And I don't know if someone have faced this issue in some more sophisticated way, because the out-of-the-box implementation is quite unusable.
My vision is the estimated cost is too complex to calculate by functional system. Is the business logical? So you have all to put the correct cost, but you need to implement the service to use it.
Can be.
Yes, because like you said, if you took any component, depends of the raw material, depends to the supplier, depends on the term of the cost and the shipping and a lot of information. So
you could, but you will have a fork, a max and a min. Maximum and minimum estimated costs, but is that what you want? So
It can be possible to manage, in my opinion, related to the. If we take a look on a bill of material, so for the product we have the supplier panel with the supplier and last price. If it's not bad to create automatically an estimate price based on supplier, and for work effort, I can also have the link to the bill of material. It's not solely bill of material, but help me. Routing task. A routing task has an estimated cost.
like MRP.
So it's not impossible to create cost from the raw material and create cost from estimate cost related to routing task, and generate an estimate task. And obviously I have to create a PDF. This is quite used in every company. Okay, this is like the bill of material creates a technical sheet for a PDF, a cost sheet. This is quite common.
We can base it on as a last one.
For every company to have a cost sheet with is a product PDF with all the information related to cost, the list of the material, the list of work, effort, indirect cost, and so create automatically something like that. Maybe if Giulio, we can implement something based on our experience, and I think it can be more or less put it as a standard. Maybe some services that based on this and this cost create an estimate cost without manually put every.
For my vision is like the MRP. The MRP is Ofbiz works, but it's not in us. So it's a good start. So if you see a functional logical to implement on standard, I think it's a good idea to have a button to create a generation the estimation and like the MRP, delete all and restart.
Yeah.
Time to have the value up to date.
Yeah, or maybe when I modify something in the bill of material, we have to schedule the recalculating of the estimate cost. I don't know, or maybe you think about a button when you change something.
Yes, because if you imagine you have some people that create the BOM or edit the BOM and the system pass the time to,
Yeah.
to update something that's not finished.
Mhm.
So
But I guess by default you could calculate the estimated cost based on the bill of materials using the last cost from the raw material, last price from the supplier.
Yeah, less price from the supplier is an estimate cost for nature, because maybe the price into the supplier order is different, but the price in the supplier order is suggested by the last price, so is the quite common way. So maybe you create an estimate without cost, because this is the timeline. The timeline is this. Before you have to create the product and the estimate, and after you create the average cost, because in this phase, when you create the bill of material and you create the estimate, maybe the product is not real here, is only a virtual product, only in your mind. You have to design it, you have to create it, and so but when you think about a product and you create the bill of material and you create the estimate, the raw material is already registered in the system. And maybe the raw material, if you use one yarn for this new clothes, maybe the yarn is already in production and you have already into your warehouse, and you know the price, you know the supplier, you have all the information about this, and also the work effort. Okay, to create this cloth I need maybe more or less some quantity of yarn, and I know the quantity. This yarn has a cost, yeah, and I can calculate it. And to make some clothes I need this work effort, because I know the work effort through the routine task, and the routine task has an estimated cost. So if you put this, why you have to put this information in? Because it's quite the same. If you use a raw material that you already know and you already have in your system with a specific price, why you have to calculate by hand and put in a specific field and to create a new record to manage that?
And what do you use this estimate cost for? Do you use it for product pricing to determine the price of the product?
Yeah, for product pricing, for analyze, and also for the marginality. So I think my revenue is thought, my utile, I don't know what is.
The margin, I think it's the margin.
The margin,
The
okay.
margin.
Okay. The estimated margin is not the real margin, because this is not like this. But I have to know step by step, because I can, in the middle, I can change something to
Maybe you can choose to use another material that costs a bit less, or change the supplier because it has another price, something like this.
or maybe I sell less quantity that I think, so I have to change my solution and not use France, but maybe use China, because I sell a lot of product and I'm not able to create in France, but I have to create in China or in Vietnam, or you know, it's quite common. So you have to, or not using a supplier, but using another supplier, and this is a quite common way to manage a company. We have different simulation, and I have to choose the right solution for the right context, because there's not only one estimate.
Yeah, so it should probably be like a service that you run on demand, that returns the cost based on the current bill of material.
Yeah. I think we can create some standard service to manage this and populate this table, because this table are already in the system.
Exactly. Like a service to refresh estimated cost.
Yeah, refresh estimated cost or something like that. Yeah, because Ofbiz, out of the box, there's also the management of the percentage of indirect cost and so on and so forth. There's a lot of components, but it's only data entry.
I think that probably a bit of extension is needed, because that entity that is the cost component entity is a different type for each cost component. And for example, for raw material is just say material cost, so you don't know what material is. And if you want to do some sort of service that calculate automatically this kind of this entity, I think that we should add some more fields or extension or something like that would link the specific raw material ID.
Now this entity doesn't have any reference to the raw material product ID. So there's a record, an entity named with the cost component material.
There is the product ID, but it's the product ID of the finished good, to which this cost component is related, but is not related. There is no indication of which raw material is the cost. So there is simply a record of material cost is, for example, X. And you don't know, reading this kind of estimated cost, which is the cost of each raw material.
Can you not get the raw material through the product, or the BOM of the product?
Yeah, you can, but in the way that entity is
the summary of the raw material. If you have 10 raw material, 10 different raw material, this is the summary. It's only one record.
So it doesn't store it.
Yeah, it doesn't store
store
raw material information, specific information.
Since it's a service will regenerate,
Yeah.
it will do the analysis each time. Why this service won't be able to generate the PDF with all the data, and why the calculation is like that?
Okay, but it's okay that the PDF is created on the fly when you need the PDF.
Yeah.
It's not necessary to store it.
Or you can store the PDF that leads to these 4 lines of costs. You have the 4 lines of costs linked to the PDF that details why this line has this value, and in the PDF you get all the info. It will avoid to add the extension to the entity, to add all the details, all the link, etc. Because the link already exists by the other way. And what you really need is the explanation of these results. So the PDF might be sufficient.
Yeah, because we have our LaTeX cost sheet PDF. and we can see together what is the detail. The detail is all the list of the raw material, like the bill of material, raw material, and after all the list of routing tasks with a specific the routing task name, also the subcontractor related if there are subcontractor with the work effort cost, the total of the material, the total of the cost, the total of the product is, and after the indirect cost, and is a quite it's a quite simple sheet, one product.
Yeah. Yeah.
One page, one product.
That's why I wonder what do you think there is a need to the same data that exists elsewhere into the database is cost estimate. If there is another need, why not? But, for now, I don't see it.
Because now that has to be set up manually.
Yeah.
For example, I have 3 raw materials in the BOM. Now I have to add cost material, another record of cost material, and another record of cost material. 3 records. But those 3 records, they do not say anything to me on which raw material are. So I see, for example, raw material 1 cost $4, raw material 2 cost $6, and raw material 3 cost $1. But looking only to that table, I cannot state which raw material is that cost 4, 2, or 1.
Yeah.
I have to go check the BOM, go check the raw material, go check the supplier, and then I find the price.
Or go check this potential PDF.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Yeah.
So you will generate the PDF basically bypassing the cost component. I just so you won't use the cost component calculation for the PDF. Because you're going to read directly the BOM, the raw material, the facility, and you extrapolate the information from that.
You take every information, you fill the cost component, but summing the material costs of all the materials.
Okay.
You see, to have the detail for this finished good material cost me this quantity, this price, this cost. I don't have the detail, but I have the information of this type of cost.
Okay, got it.
And every type of cost, you have the cost. And if you want some more detail, PDF is one way. But it's kind of strange for me to store information that is already stored elsewhere at a good place. You see?
Okay,
Got it. Yeah.
So if I look at the cost component entity, for example, I'm not able to see which raw material cost what, and it's fine. I just see a total of raw material.
Yeah.
If I want to see a detail, I print the PDF.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's a problem. For example, thinking, if I understand correctly, I have the version 1 A, B, C, D, okay? So this is the timeline.
Nicola, sorry, define versions.
Yeah.
Because we have in mind version, probably they not have in mind versions for our business case specific.
No, but I think for all the business cases, when I create this product, maybe I create the first version of the bill of material and the first version of estimate cost. And after I choose to change something, and I change the bill of material, and obviously I change the estimate cost. But the third version is the same component as B, but I have to choose the manufacturer, so cost change. Or maybe I want to product in China, not in France, okay. So if I want to see the PDF for version C, I click on version C, but the bill of material is the actual one.
Yeah.
If I change material in the bill of material through the time, when I want to see the version D, maybe the raw material are different compared to the version A. So if I don't store all the specific raw materials, how I can achieve my goal?
If you store the PDF, the PDF won't change.
Okay, you have so store the PDF and not the detail. Okay.
The detail will be in the PDF, but I'm not sure it's a good solution. But if you keep the different version and the BOM don't store the history of the different raw costs, etc. Indeed, I understand you need a way to store the history of the estimation cost calculation.
Mm-hmm.
So when you generate an estimation, at the same time you generate the PDF, you store at the screen you have the link to download the PDF to have the detail. For each version you will generate, you will have the detail of the PDF.
Okay.
It's usable.
You have something like this. We have a different PDF from different versions.
Yeah.
But you are not able to do that. You are not able to, if you don't have a database specific for different versions, you are not able to.
Yeah, I agree. To analyze the differences and something like that.
Also during time, this product was born like that and it's ended like that. So this is historical.
Okay.
Maybe
Okay.
some big company do this kind of deep analysis to understand, try to calculate the good marginality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Correct, Nicola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this simulation are always used by by
general manager.
I want to say, if it's go to the BI, the logical is again different. Because if you put it in the BI, you need to fact and domain.
Yeah.
So you need to organize on the different way your data. You see that?
Yeah, because probably in the BI you should populate large horizontal files with a lot of information so that the BI can handle it and create its own graphs and numbers and so on. So
yes, but I like to think BI working with data we have in a correct way, and after we can denormalize in the BI environment or data lake or something like that. But if you don't have the fine-grained data for every version, is difficult to achieve.
That's what I want to say. From your side, when you have some data to push to the BI, we have dedicated table to store.
Okay.
So when we create an analyze, we create the line dedicated to this analyze.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Send to the BI.
This is a possible. Absolutely. This is a possible way.
Improves estimated is possible. I don't know why it's not possible. Just we need to keep in mind raw material is not all mandatory to link to the product, because all people don't have the BOM that can estimate.
Or maybe you have to estimate, but you know that for make this stuff you need steel, maybe 3 kilos of steel, but you don't know exactly the cost. You put an estimate cost, and maybe this specific kind of steel is not in the product table.
Right. And if you want to improve the estimated cost with a large spectrum like work effort product or some other, the bad vision is create generic entity IDs to link some object on the database, but more in like inventory, prepare what you can link, and when you consolidate, you have the database help you to retrieve the information. So don't use the IDs and the object.
Yeah.
It's not possible for the database to help you correctly.
Yeah.
So have a product ID, work effort ID. You have a lot of IDs, but like this you can consolidate quickly.
Yeah. Okay, I like this discussion because
Yeah, exactly.
it's good for everybody to understand better. Okay.
That's the best exercise in your job.
I'm quite sure you faced something similar. Yeah.
And sometimes the good ideas is not the good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Thanks, Nicolas, for the
And we don't authorize some other topics because I'm tired.
We have the Apache Ofbiz issue dates, so let's remember that. We need another.
Last topic is Ofbiz naming release version. I put this ticket because at Bratislava, we talk about the naming version with the date is not loosely friendly because the current is 18 with the XX. And the problem that you have a customer, they said, okay, the version stable is 18 and they have 6 years before. There are no other new version.
Didn't something change in the last month? I think I saw some discussion in the mailing list a month or a couple of months ago, just before the last release. I don't remember what was. Maybe it's just a discussion on
Yeah.
should now
Right.
uh,
The
change the naming convention. Maybe
No, it was not quite the subject. It was there will be when we decide to create a release, we will call it next, and when the release is ready, the name will take place to the date it is ready.
oh, so for example 25 and all.
Yeah. So we want to create the next release now. It's called next, and when it's ready, just before releasing, it's naming the date of the release. So it's better than that was the discussion.
Okay.
I participate with Jack. If I remember
Yeah.
well.
So it's next, and when we release,
Mm.
put the date.
Yes.
So I release the 24/9, the last month,
Mm.
with this it ideas it's 25
April.
yes, 25/05. April, May. Ah, no, it's April. 25
Maybe.
25. I publish in April, not May. This version.
Oh, document.
I think I remember because I want to release this and we have a security issue. So I need to publish 2020.
So we have a major version number that is the year. The second part is the month, and then we get
And the two last is
the days or
No,
the or counter.
the count
Okay.
of this release.
Well, for me it's okay. No problem with that.
What about semantic versioning?
Sorry.
Semantic versioning. Where you have a major version,
Yeah.
middle version, I guess, and then the small changes that are backwards compatible is the last part. Can you increment that one?
Why we don't use this? I don't remember.
So basically, if you have changes that are not backwards compatible, like for example the Jakarta migration, you increment the major version.
I know why. Because we don't publish many versions. We are not just a library. So it's too big to publish a new version each time we change something. Is the reason that I said Ofbiz is more like a distribution instead just a library or.
And don't you publish when you change the minor version in there? The last part.
We published a new version when we think it's okay or we have a security issue.
The last year there were a bit of them. So in a month it happened that 5 or 6 releases were released for security issues.
For the 24, we have a new version to publish in a few weeks, I think, because we detect some regression in the code base. So we publish really when we detect some problem. So normally we don't move a lot. It's the reason that we take the same same as
Yes.
as Ubuntu. Yes. Put the date directly. And like the Linux also change the number of versions.
Ubuntu releases 2 times a year, on April and on 10 October. It's 24.04 and 24.10.
But long-term support will be 2 years.
The LTS are the 04.
The difference is the number of computer active.
Yeah. No, for me it's okay. Why it's not like that? Well, we do not even have the need to change the trunk name. We can leave trunk in the current development version, and when we are ready to release, just change the name to the date.
There is a stabilization period, so you fix the trunk during 1 year.
Okay.
That's why we need the next. No more improvement or other new things into the stabilization period, into the next branch.
And this is the next.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, like that, yeah, more or less. There is how it's called, nightly. That is the development.
Seed. Debian seed.
Stable, yes. Unstable.
Seed, unstable.
Yeah.
Debian unstable, Debian seed, and Debian stable.
But well, okay, we got the idea.
Seed testing.
For me, seed is a young boy that make everything explode into Toy Story. So for me, it's worse than unstable, but I might be wrong. I don't remember.
Me too. I'm too tired to think about this. Okay.
And I put the provocation, let's give up with number and give names like the Debian distribution.
Yeah.
Let's choose a subject and start picking up names instead of numbers.
So use naming.
I heard the idea of giving them names of great anarchists in history. Why not?
Ah, well, yeah. Louise. Was is famous anarchist, feminist, French feminist.
Why not?
Yeah. For this, I think we need to open a thread on the mailing list.
Yes.
Yeah,
You have to choose a subject with a lot of names in it.
Or we could choose the Macron release. Like president names.
Or flowers name or
Yes,
something
I
like
propose the naming fucking guys of the world.
that. When you create a new Docker container, it generates a random name.
We use the date.
So for example, Tony Stark release, something like that.
We can do that. Yeah.
It's okay.
Make Docker great again.
I think
Sorry.
we free.
So just the numbers there.
Oh, it's nice the number this time. But Gaëtan proposed to open a thread about it on the mailing list.
Makes sense.
Thank you, Gaëtan.
Sur mon stock.
Enregistré.
Okay.
Thank you, Baptiste.
Do we close?
Yeah.
Or you have another position?
Sorry, mail okay, but what to to sum up what we just discussed, do we keep the date in the name, or do we switch to name the releases?
Yes. Oh,
That was my okay. Thank you, Nicolas. So that concludes the Ofbiz Days.
One or two? Yes.
Blue or is it red? Yes. Okay. Great. Okay. The end.
Yes.
Keep the
We
numbers.
finished all the tickets. Congrats. Thank you to everyone who followed us.
yes. Thank to follow us, and I think it's really not easy.